say, I'm thankful that you're doing the trivia all the time. That adds a little more fun to it.
Battle hardened trivia. Nobody knew it.
Yeah, oh, no,
They knew the first one, Battle of Leningrad.
Bill knew one of them.
Yes?
Yeah.
Nobody knew what the first battle of the tanks were used in. Yes. See? You weren't there last time.
I was too. But I didn't know it until I looked it up.
Oh, yeah.
And I try not to cheat. Okay.
You want the mic?
No.
Everybody's trying to
Everybody
get me
hear me?
away.
Huh?
Guys?
Do I need a mic? Hello?
You're fine.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about 3D printing for amateur radio. And I kind of like to call it a hobby within a hobby. My name's Kevin, N0KTM, in case anybody didn't know. I am a serial hobbyist. Started out in high school with photography. Kind of followed that one a long way through. Got a whole shelf full of photo gear. Still in the basement. Been here for 20 years. Haven't unpacked it yet. And in that 20 years, film's gone away. So my cameras don't do me too much good anymore. So got into electronics. That was my career. So I got into computers. And from there, woodworking and home remodeling, 3 different houses in the 40-odd years or so. So I retired, looking for something to do, and I got into amateur radio. Got into cutting vinyl, making t-shirts and stuff. But the latest one is ham radio, and that's where we got into 3D printing. And this is going to be about my journey through 3D printing and how it relates to amateur radio. How did that work? There we go. Hopefully I won't see too much of this here tonight. Have to put humor in everything I do. All right, this is my printer. It's one of the original old Ender 3s. Still serviceable, purchased used, paid 70 or was it 90 bucks for it, I can't remember, back in November. So, the original project that I got it for, everybody knows that I modify HP server power supplies. You get about 50 amps out of one that's, the size of I don't know, a carton of eggs or something like that. And I was going to place one in a home with a little child, so I wanted to make it a little bit more safe, because otherwise there's stuff hanging out the back of it and they look kind of strange. So I found the design for this front and back cover on Thingiverse. I'm sorry, Thingiverse. However that goes. Anyway, so even found a version of it that's got a switch and an LED to tell you what's going on. Okay, and I mentioned Thingiverse. It's a great place to find all sorts of useful things to print, all kinds of radio-related stuff like handheld radio stands and side frames for mobile radios, replacement feet, mic stands, and all kinds of stuff. Down there, that 891 side frame, there's Robert's radio sitting over there that has a set of those that he printed. So all kinds of different 3D printed stuff you can find on Thingiverse for ham radio. And then there's Gridfinity.
Oh, man.
Which, if you don't know, is a modular organizational system that has a grid-shaped base structure, and then you put all kinds of little boxes and bins and places to put stuff on top of it. I even found a YouTube video of a guy that did a whole huge toolbox using Gridfinity. You can get socket racks and wrench racks and plier racks and all kinds of stuff to print in there. You can talk to Robert if you want to know more about Thingiverse. I think that was his gateway drug into 3D printing. Okay. Oops. Nice. Oh well. Let me go back. Did I skip one? Nope, I didn't. So 3D. Oh, now I did it. Okay. Okay. 3D printing's a whole lot of fun. And one of the most fun things about it is getting stuff to stick to the print bed. It has a heated print bed that the nozzle extrudes the melted filament onto, and things fail to stick sometimes, and a lot of them pretty spectacularly. And usually when you walked away from the printer for a few minutes, it fails. Let's see, the two items in the upper left there, that was an antenna wire insulator that I tried to print. It was before I knew about rafts and brims and things like that you can print underneath it for it to stick to, give it more surface area. It's a kind of tiny little bottom on there. So yeah, and the other one, it just didn't stick, and started to move around. Came back in and ooh, yeah, that wasn't good. And Richard, you were talking about your printer. You were having issues with it not pulling filament. Yeah, I ran into that the other day. My spool of PETG is getting down to, 4 or 5 wraps on it. And I went to print something, walked away from it, silly me, walked back in, and here's the print head about, 3/4 of an inch above what it was printing. Just going around doing nothing because it didn't pull it and it clogged the nozzle. So wound up having to pull this filament off the spool to make slack, and kept having to making slack to make it work. Who knew? All right.
Can you reuse any of that stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
There are people that do, and they have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars tied up in the equipment to do it. And there's a bunch of material science that goes into how you do that. You can actually grind it up and remelt it and spit out new filament, but not for me. If you've got a print farm where you're printing with like 50 printers or something like that, and you have a lot of waste, probably, but not for hobbyists.
They do that, Kevin?
Pardon?
Get silicone molds,
Yeah.
and they would grind it up, and you can get a cheap blender for Salvation Army.
Yep.
To break it up with. Melt it in one of the cheap crock pots you get in Salvation Army.
Uh-huh.
You can actually pour it with silicone molds.
Yeah.
So you can get different things to where you can reuse that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, cool. Good.
All right. Now we get in, if I get this thing to work. Some ham radio related things. Y'all know I like doing wire antennas, and having some way to terminate the wire is really nice. So I've played with a couple of those, and I came across these cool little caps you can put on your cable, dust caps for that, or on your adapters and all kinds of stuff. Some of it's weatherproof, probably if you work at it a little bit, but those are just a few of the things that I've come across.
Now, you'll be able to print the threads in that?
Yep. Yep. The external threads are pretty good. The internal threads, this is a cheap printer. And sometimes they come out okay, sometimes they don't.
Does that help reinforce it a little bit too, or
Pardon?
does that help reinforce the antenna connection a
little bit, or is it just for dust?
Just dust caps.
Okay.
Just dust caps. You know, one of my passions is in-fed half-waves. And the other thing about it is I'm cheap.
You're a ham radio.
Right. I always built my own 49-to-1 transformer boxes. And I saw 3D printing as a way to really customize those. But how to do the design to be just what I wanted. Enter FreeCAD. It's a completely free design and modeling program that I found through some YouTube videos. But like all software, it's got a little bit of a steep learning curve. If you've never worked with CAD software before, it can be a little funny. Whoa, we jumped way ahead here. What happened there? There we go, okay. I guess that was just the one. Anyway, these are some of my learning curve boxes, here, there, and everywhere. The big box up there and these little tiny ones here, that was built from the exact same file. This computer does not
No,
like
you touched it.
it. Yep, I touched it.
I think your help's on the way.
Yeah, I saw him coming.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Since I got my notes on the computer here. And I've not done this before from this thing. So, there we are, back to there. And the little deal down here in the corner, all those little things, templates and things for trying to figure out what size holes to use and how to get holes right for things like SO230 connectors and things. So those were all kinds of stuff. This is pretty, and this is the the design for that box I was showing. Got the nice holes for all the connectors and the support eye bolt and the connector screws out the sides. And if you look in the center there's a little spreadsheet looking thing. Actually, it says spreadsheet on it. With FreeCAD, you can set up your drawing using those dimensions in the defined in the little spreadsheet there, and you can make different size boxes just by changing those parameters and recalculating the things. You don't have to redraw every time, like that little tiny box. That was a small version of the box that I started out with. So it makes...
Is this a downloaded program or is this an online
No, it's download.
download?
Download, yeah. And there are a ton of tutorials on YouTube. Several different people have some pretty good tutorials. And that's how I learned how to do this parametric stuff to do this layout. So even does a lid. So this is kind of my final. I don't know why I didn't print the top on the box. I have to go back and look at it. It takes 12 hours for my printer to print that box. So I wasn't real eager to go back and print it again. But
Question,
yes.
about how much does your material cost?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. So this is a view of the sides with the connections. It's the antenna and ground connection on this side. And over there on that side is a vent. So that vent is there to keep the condensation down inside the box when the core heats up and cools down, because those toroids do heat up, especially if you're pumping very much power through them. So, did I mention I was cheap? The YouTubers that built these transformer boxes buy a commercially made electrical junction box It's made by Carolon. They cost about 12 bucks. The vent that they use is made by Bud Enclosures, and they're 4 bucks or something like that. I printed all this, including the lid and the vent, for about $1.50 worth of filament. I got a pretty inexpensive spool of PET G, but still, at 18 bucks a spool, it wasn't too bad.
What do you prefer for filament, PET or PLA or?
I've only used PLA and PET G. PET G because it's a little bit more UV resistant. These things are going to be out hanging out in the sunlight, so that was the reason for going with that. Even found a YouTube video that taught me how to put the lettering and stuff on.
That's nice.
And just in case somebody looks at it and says, "What the heck is that thing?" I don't know. All right. We're getting towards the end here. And one of the latest things I've done, was poking around in Thingiverse, and I found this back shell for power pole connectors, Anderson power poles. And I printed one and didn't really care a whole lot for their design. So I got my caliper out and did some measurements and went in and redesigned it in FreeCAD. And this is what I came out with. I've got several examples of that over there. So that's been my journey through 3D printing. I really didn't intend to be a tutorial on it. We could probably do something like that if somebody wanted to for a future thing.
You don't have to own a 3D printer, just know somebody who does.
Exactly. Exactly. So, anyway, and I'm no expert. Trust me, no expert at all. But that's what I've done, and that's where I'm headed with this. So,
Do you mainly make this for yourself, or do you?
I've been Elmering some people, and I built a couple of the power supply setups for some folks that got printers. Emily over there in the corner is one that got radios at one of the last Hamfests.
Oh.
So that was kind of the shove into 3D printing. I'd been looking at printers for the previous 6 months or so on Marketplace, saying, "Gee, it'd be cool to have one of those, but what am I going to do with it?" And then this came along and said, "That's what I can do."
Well, you're a ham radio operator. You'll figure it out. What to use it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's been my journey. We already are into the next slide, which is questions. Yes, sir.
How breakable are these items, and are they chip proof?
Reasonably so. I mean, the PET G is PETG is pretty durable. If you print it with enough wall thickness, it's really not too bad. I wouldn't drive over cars or anything, but it does pretty well.
Kind of think of it as it's layered like the grain of wood. It's really strong in one direction, but if you break it against the grain, it'll
Yeah.
separate.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it doesn't just fall apart, but that's its weak
Put a
direction.
little bit of pressure on it.
Yeah.
I've got examples of a lot of the stuff I was showing over there on the table. If you want to take a gander at it, the power supply is there. One of the early boxes I was gonna, that final transformer I was showing is actually out in my yard. It's my one of my antennas, and I was gonna go grab it, but I completely forgot to this afternoon. I used it for the net last night, so. And I have two of them sitting up there. One of them's 10-meter vertical end bed halfway, and the other one is an inverted L 10 to 40 meter antenna.